All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about a customer that just came in. I hit the light there. So a customer just came in. Really, really simple business. They do plumbing. They're doing like $2 million a year. I think they said they have like a 12-person team, which I don't know if that's 12 techs or they just said 12-person team. It was a really simple message. I didn't get in deep to it, but I wanted to analyze kind of what they were talking about and something that I think could be valuable. So stick around to the end. Let me know if you have any questions. And if you're in plumbing, this might be really valuable. So I'm assuming they're a small local plumber. They probably have a little bit of marketing and branding. You mentioned that they use a couple of sites. I'm sure they use like Angie's List and they have, organic marketing. So the first question that I asked this guy was, how fast do you get back to your leads? And he said, normally within a half hour. Okay, great. That's really slow, but great that you're getting back to them. I said, how many more leads would you get if you got back to them within a minute? And he was like, well, sometimes we're that fast because there's somebody sitting in his office, I'm assuming, answering those emails and calls, however they get their lead. Great. Are they getting a follow-up text and email? He goes, yeah, our system emails them. I'm like, okay, so they're getting a generic email and then someone's calling them hopefully within the next hour. That's number one. That's a problem. The next thing I asked was, when you're going through the process with the client, what does that look like? Like, what does that client's journey look like to work with you? They see your ad or they have a plumbing problem. They Google you, meaning when I say Google you, I mean they Google, I need a plumber near me. This guy comes up, they click the button, they make the call. As soon as you don't answer the phone, they call the next person. That's automatic. Next thing, they find you on Google, you get the generic email. Would have been helpful if you would have sent them an email a little more personalized or gave them an automatic, voice agent, or meaning they, instead of getting a click or leave your voicemail, it would have said, hey, I'm Nick with XYZ Plumbing. I am a voice agent here to help you to schedule a time for someone to come out to you. How would you look for the next 2 days? Something like that. Something very basic. I mean, we have a whole script for it, but you get the gist. And I'm sending this to him via DM. And then I said that in and of itself, you would create more revenue because you wouldn't miss those leads. The next thing, and I find this really wild, if you deal with the public, one of the easiest ways for you to build trust, particularly if you have to sell them something, that first contact is how they judge how professional, how fast, and how urgent your business is. I've worked at companies where, the office lady was like the owner's wife. Those companies dominated because the lady on the phone was super nice, super friendly, super knowledgeable, quick to answer, and just sounded nice. People like that. There's already a negative, when you call a plumber, people are like, I'm having a problem. I need a plumber. My shitter's clogged. Like, this is an issue. They're already not in a great, happy state of mind. So I asked him, I said, what's the script when, your office people call back? He's like, we don't have a script. I was like, well, that's like problem number 5, but we'll call it number 2 for now. You should have a script. You want to make them feel good. You want to be like, okay, God, I called XYZ Plumbing. These guys are on their shit. Like, literally, they're on the shit. Like, they know what they're doing. The next thing, wouldn't it be really cool or make you feel really comfortable because they're a plumber, they go out to people's homes, if they got an email or a text message from your company that introduced the tech who's coming out to the house? This could all be automated. I told him, I said, we could have this automated for you pretty quickly. It'll take 30 seconds from one of your texts just to say, hey, I'm Jerry with XYZ Plumbing. I'll be seeing you today. I've been in the field for, 5 years. Just a little bit about him. I'm an expert at plumbing. I got my plumber certification. I really like dogs, and I have a kid that plays t-ball. We all know, we all love Gary or Jerry, whatever I call him. That will make people feel so much better because you're inviting this person into your home. He'll sell better because he's likable. They already have their guard down. They don't feel like, who is this guy? They sent somebody. Diffuse, beat all that. The next thing that really worried me was he said they make about $300K in profit, but he couldn't tell me any of the other real numbers. And he either wouldn't or he couldn't. It doesn't really matter. My concern is he probably doesn't know. Like, he doesn't know how many leads they get a month. He knows they average, they, depending on what source they come from, they're anywhere from $25 up to $500 a lead. And I was like, well, that's a big range. He goes, yeah, normally our cost per acquisition is like $200 or $300 or something like that, which I thought, maybe that's high, maybe it's low, but he doesn't know. He doesn't have the exact. You want to be tracking all of your marketing so okay, this customer, for me to make a sale, cost me, we'll say in this example, it cost me $200. You have to factor that $200 into the project so that you're not running a negative business. Does that make sense? Like, if you go out to fix a toilet and the lead cost you $200. So you're minus, I'm gonna write it down, you're minus $200. And then you say, okay, to fix this toilet, my guy is gonna charge $125 for the base visit, and then to fix the toilet's $100. Well, that's $225, and it's gonna take him, we'll factor in an hour because he's got to drive. Well, that's great. You say, oh, I made $225. No, minus off the $200 for marketing, the company made $25 sending him out. You got to factor that in somehow. And normally it has to do with pricing. And I know there's a lot of ways you can figure out pricing for plumbing. I'm not a plumbing expert, but looking at this, those numbers didn't make sense to me. And I even said that to him. I was like, well, what's like the minimum charge? And he's like, $125 for us to show up. And I'm like, your minimum charge has to at least pay for the marketing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like, anyway. So my point in saying all this is you have to know your numbers. You have to be very fast with your leads, and you should be utilizing AI in some way to make this thing work. AI is not going to get rid of plumbing. It's never going to happen, but AI could help contact your leads faster, could help you close your leads faster, could build more trust with your brand, could automate. I even asked, do you have an automated system to ask for a review? He's like, well, no, I just, I tell the guys to tell them. Okay. Do you pay the guys? Like, if they get a review, do they get a reward? He's like, oh yeah, it was like $25. And I'm like, $25 for a 5-star review. That's worth $100 all day until you have 500 to 1,000 of them. And then you need to consider, possibly paying them less or pay them even more to get you even more reviews so you rank higher in Google when the people are looking for you. I gave this guy a lot of value for free. And I do that, which is probably my own fault, but it bothers me. It's like so simple and so obvious, but apparently it's not. The next thing that really didn't concern me. Let me rephrase that. I don't care either way. Like, my business is going to make money. This guy seems to be a good person, and he doesn't understand that the way you run your business will affect your whole life. And I asked him, I said, dude, like, how much do you work? And he's like, I work 7 days a week. I was like, when did you take a vacation? He goes, I took one 2 years ago. And I'm like, if you have no automation and no way to offload your work or someone to handle your work while you take a vacation to recharge your battery, that's not healthy. Like, that's not good. Like, you're not winning. And you can never sell this business because you are too in it. You are the sun, you are the center of the business. Because he mentioned to me he'd like to sell it one day. And I said, okay, well, your EBITDA is going to have to go up. Your CAC's going to have to be known. You're going to have a repeatable system that someone could buy and either roll into their own big plumbing conglomerate, or they could buy and run and grow still because it's tracking upwards and you're just now vacating because you don't want to do it anymore. You want to retire. He was like, well, how do I do that? I'm like, book a call. Because I'm not going to tell him the whole thing all the way through, but you have to think about what you want your business to be and the outcome you're going for. If you want to make a legacy business that you can give to your children, by all means, make sure the business can run without them, because they probably aren't going to be master plumbers. They probably aren't going to know the ins and outs of your business unless you take time to teach them. And if you don't take the time, or you're an older person or something happens, well, now they have this business. They just may have graduated college and, unfortunately, people pass away, things happen. Well, now they're trying to run dad's business and they don't know anything about dad's business. And dad's business only ran because of him. Make the steps to make the business a little more automated. Make sure it has an operator or a manager, somebody. And if you can't afford one, it comes back. I wrote it down. It comes back to the numbers. You're not making enough profit. If you can't say, all right, I'm going to pay a guy 150, 250 grand a year, run my business. I'm going to now work on my business while you are running it. That's how businesses explode. That's how they go. That's how they grow rapidly. You have to be able to work on the business, not in the business. So it was a very interesting conversation. I did have a call scheduled with the guy coming up this week, so I'll let you guys know how it went. It's just a perfect example. If you're in this situation, if any of that resonated with you, comment below, I need to fix something, or just comment below, I'm in there, and I'll reach out to you with a DM and we can talk a little bit about